I now request Shri Urvan Ghosh, the coordinator of this seminar, to express his views about the seminar.
Janani Sharadang Deving Rama Krishnan Jagatgurum Pada Padmeteu Sitva Pranamami Muhurma. Revered Swami Bhajanananda Ji Maharaj, Revered Swami Shupanananda Ji Maharaj, monks of the order, Matajis, friends and fellow art lovers, my pranam to all. Swami Vivekananda's love for the art is known to all. What is not so well known is the fact that he had almost no formal training to learn art and had to go out and learn to appreciate art all by himself during his wanderings in India and abroad. The very process of this learning of art has a few stages. First, one seeks to become an artist by training the hand. Then one finds it is the eye that needs improving. Later, one learns it is the mind that wants developing. And therein lies the importance of spiritual awareness of the artist concerned. In fact, the same level of spiritual awareness is also expected from the Rashika, the connoisseurs, who will enjoy the art so produced. Vasily Kandinsky, the famous artist who is credited to be the father of modern abstract art, once wrote, and I quote, "The true work of art is born from the artist. The art, is a mysterious, enigmatic, and mystical creation. Art, after it is made, detaches itself from the artist and acquires an autonomous life of its own. All work of art becomes a personality, an independent subject, animated with the spiritual breath, the living subject of a real existence of being." Unquote. In fact, art becomes a spiritual process depending upon the degree of commitment that an artist brings to it. I'm tempted to recall a few lines from the conversation that Swamiji had with one of his childhood friends. His name was Priyanath Singha. Mr. Priyanath Singha was a gifted and trained artist. And he met Swamiji after his triumphal return from the West. And during a long conversation, Sri Singha inquired, among other things, about the relative importance of Japanese art and British art. And Swamiji's reply to this was prophetic. He said, I quote, "They, when Japanese, are great as a nation because of their art. Don't you see, they are Asians as we are? And though we have lost almost everything, yet what we still have is wonderful. The very soul of the Asian is interwoven with art. The Asian never uses a thing unless there be art in it. Don't you know that art is, with us, a part of religion?" Unquote. Swamiji, during this conversation, had also praised folk art of India and said, "The glass that we drink water from, the glass of the Europeans, and our metal ghati, compare these two. Which one of the two is more artistic?" Have you seen the farmers' homes in our villages? Have you seen their granaries for keeping paddy? What an art is there in them. What a variety of paintings, even on their mud walls. And then, if you go and see how the lower classes in the West live, you would at once mark the difference. Their ideal, mark this word, their ideal is utility. Ours, art. The Westerner looks for utility in everything, whereas with us, art is everywhere. Unquote. Swami Vivekananda elsewhere had pointed out the importance of bhava in our art. And he said, bhava is the single most important ingredient in art. Artistic skill for realistic depiction, in his views, is only the primary stage of art making. True art, he said, is like a lotus flower. A lotus flower that has its roots in the mud, under the water, where it receives its nourishment. And then it spreads its petals much above the water, towards the sky. True art, he says, true art similarly should derive its ideas from nature, but should always aspire to depict higher ideals, not limited by natural depiction. With this idea of spirituality that lies at the foundation of all acts of creativity, and more so in the field of visual art, one may easily compare the theme of this seminar with the famous story of Sri Ramakrishna, which he told and retold time and again. It is the story of a pond from which people of diverse origin draw their water from. The pot sizes and the material used in making of the pots may be, and perhaps always is, different. But the water they draw is the same, though they call it by different name. Muslims call it pani, Europeans call it water, Hindus call it jal, the same water. With this simple analogy, Sri Ramakrishna presented his unique concept of God being one but is known in different names. The world of art also resembles an endless pond. Each artist in the world of art of all ages was and still is painting their canvases with their own particular brush, but all were dipping the brush into the same source of spiritual awareness. This inseparable presence of spirituality is what elevates drawn images into work of art. There, however, remains one question: why one fails to notice the same dimension of spiritual awareness in all work of art? Well, the answer to this riddle is rather simple. The difference in magnitude of spiritual manifestation in different works of art is explainable by the fact that not all the artists are equally aware of their individual spiritual inclinations. It may rightly be said that all human beings are spiritual. Only some of us are more aware of it, and only a selected few can feel and are able to express what they feel spiritually in line and color, that is, in their paintings. Definition of art in the modern context has undergone major changes, and before trying to assess the concept of spirituality in art, it is surely necessary to take a fresh look at some forms of new art that has emerged in recent years. The most esteemed ancient art forms were music and poetry. Revered Swami Suparanandaji has also mentioned this. and those were regarded as divinely inspired. Eventually, the idea of art expanded its scope to include literature, visual art, performing art, and decorative art. The division between fine art and applied arts came into existence during 16th century and still exists today. The fine arts are those with an intellectual, theoretical, or academic basis, and the applied arts are those which apply aesthetic value to functional, everyday objects. Today, there are also numerous subcategories for types of art and art movements. Artistic movements such as Dadaism, pop art, performance art, postmodern theories in art have made the notion of defining art particularly difficult. Anything can, in fact, be art these days, and the term continues to evolve. Recent developments in this regard may be better explained by citing an example from the famous American artist Andy Warhol. Now, Andy Warhol, I will not discuss about him much, but I will say this. Andy Warhol reconceptualized the meaning of art when he exhibited a Brillo box in an art gallery. Most people would not have considered the depiction of a Brillo box or a urinal bought from the store to be art until Andy Warhol and Marcel Duchamp, respectively, placed those objects in an art gallery. By placing them in an art gallery, these objects associated a different kind of connotation. Warhol demonstrated by this act that what is often considered art is simply that which is exhibited in art gallery. In other words, just by placing the object in art gallery, it acquires a different kind of a context, and you view it accordingly. The importance of the seminar receives added importance from this complexity of art practices today. Along with the changes that has emerged in the world of art, today the concept of spirituality also got mixed up with the emerging popularity of the study of spiritualism that was prevalent during the closing decade of the 19th century. This seminar also aims to focus the pivotal role played by spiritualism in the development of modern abstract art in the West and its eventual departure from being restricted within the realm of out-of-the-world spirits, which spiritualism was all about. As we would like to say today, spirituality is not something apart from everyday life. It is an experience that occurs in the midst of life, in a particular culture, in a particular place and time. That is why art offers a way to a genuine spirituality. Art in India in the past, while viewed under this argument, reveals its spiritual content with increasing intensity. Art in India then and now, however, have witnessed hardly any effort in documenting, analyzing, and determining the role of spirituality in Indian art. Nearly 3 decades ago, in 1985, an exhibition was held at Los Angeles County Museum of Art in the United States with the theme, The Spiritual in Art, Abstract Painting 1890 to 1985. The idea of the present seminar is to refocus our attention in a similar direction. All works of art has its roots in the fertile bed of spirituality, and only a true appraisal of the same can open the road for a fuller realization of its true potential in future. The present scenario of postmodern art practices and its increasing alienation from the common people who should otherwise be enjoying it, as in the past, can only be rectified by reinventing the importance of spiritual basis of art. Art of the future like that in the past, and unlike in the present, must acknowledge its spiritual roots. Topics under discussion in this seminar will include, without remaining restricted by it, the following sub-themes: identity and spiritualism in art and life, role of spiritualism in art of the past, role of spiritualism in contemporary art, and spiritualism and aesthetics in Indian art. With a few words about the seminar, about the aim of the seminar as well, I'd like to thank Swami Supananandaji and Swami Yadavendranandaji of the Institute for their encouraging support for organizing this seminar. And I'd also like to thank all our esteemed speakers whose participation alone is going to make it meaningful and perhaps successful. Last of all, I pay my humble pranam again to the Reverend Swami Madhanandaji. Thank you.